everybody.
Hello.
Welcome to Kirsty and Bryony's Comfort Zone.
I am Kirsty.
And I am Bryony.
And we're going to listen to some dreams and figure out what the heck is going on in Bryony's head. Because
Not Kirsty.
I don't have any dreams again.
Take the week off.
Yep. My brain is just not dreaming right now. It doesn't want to. It has given up.
I had a really lovely dream the other day that I didn't record, but I did tell you about. At least I don't think I recorded it. I have no memory of what these two dreams are, to be fair. But one of them that I don't think I recorded was that I was hanging out with Lydia and we were playing this game where you had to build a village. It was very Animal Crossing. We had to build a village for animals. It was more sort of like Hocko Life. And I put this house down and the house was the wrong way round. And I was like, oh, silly me. So then I was looking at all the different animals that were there, and there was an elephant and a hamster, and I was like, why are their houses the same size? And then Lydia was like, oh, come on, we've got to get ready. And I was like, what for? And she was like, our Kate Bush party. I was like, what? And then it turned out we were throwing a Kate Bush themed party together, and we were both all of a sudden dressed in Kate Bush dresses.
The big red dress on.
Yeah, and we were lighting candles everywhere to make everything have that 90s music video glow and stuff. And it was it was so good. I woke up just I want to throw a Kate Bush party.
I would go to a Kate Bush party.
I want to throw one, so you can go to that one.
Nice.
It all works out. But I'm very sorry in advance if it turns out that we begin one of these recordings and it's me telling that exact dream. See who tells it better. Awake me or half asleep me.
Yeah. And maybe Awake You has forgotten some of the extras, so there might be bonus facts in there.
That's true. There might be little tidbits.
Little tidbits.
It's tid with a D, isn't it? It's not tit.
Yeah, it's not titbits. Not bits of tit.
Just bits of tit. Littering my dreams, as usual. Usually mine, to be fair.
You're not wrong.
Just a good little Bobby in there.
But yeah, I haven't had any dreams. I
was going to say, do you know why? Have you been having
no.
slightly worse sleep or slightly better sleep, maybe?
I mean, maybe it's because it's been warm. I feel like I should struggle to sleep when it's warm, but I feel maybe I've been sleeping too much. I think I've just been having more of a deep sleep every night because I wake up feeling so groggy all the time. And I'm still a bit groggy today from waking up. But I just don't really remember them. And any dreams that I have been having have been very split up and weird, random. I did have one last night, which parts of it were not very pleasant, but there was one part that I remember that we were in the loft in my old house. And I was looking around for something, and I was convinced that my brother was trying to do something. He had an evil scheme, and he was plotting something, and he was hiding something up in the loft so that he could do this horrible thing to me. And then, for some reason, I found a box of old wool, yarn, and I was like, he can't have that. He needs that for his evil plan. Yeah. So I threw it down the ladder, and then I decided to hide it in his room because that would be the last place he'd look for my yarn. And then he turned up, and me and my mum were both like, nope, no yarn here. But I still don't remember what it was that he was gonna do with this yarn. I have no idea, and it was just very weird. It was a very strange dream. And my brother was young in the dream too, he was 12. But he's actually 27.
A baby.
He was a baby.
Okay, so you know that you tricked your brother with the wool?
Mm-hmm.
Funnily enough, it says wool is symbolic of spiritual protection. Pulling the wool over someone's eyes, though generally accepted as devious, can also be a protective act, which it actually was, because you were protecting against his devious schemes.
True. I was pulling the wool over his eyes so that I was safe. But I don't know why. I don't know what he's plotting. He's
Bizarre.
not been plotting anything in real life, as far as I'm aware.
Well, that you know of, yeah.
Oh,
What if
no.
this is your brain's way of telling you?
There was another
a
part of the
scheme.
dream as well, I think, where I was in like a forest. And I think it was my parents were running through the forest, maybe. But they were
Yeah.
just like, they were off. And I don't. It was very strange because it was like they. I think my dad was dressed in all black, like a black suit, and he was
Yeah.
chasing my mom, but not in like a bad way. Like he wasn't trying to kill her or anything. They were just doing something. I don't know
What
if
are
it
your
was.
family up to at the
I
moment?
have no idea. I don't know if it was meant to be sexy or what. I have no idea. But I was just very far away, and I had a radio like to them, and I was like, there are two people following you. They're wearing motorcycle helmets and like suits. And there were these two people that were sort of following behind them, my parents. And my parents like got the radio call and they sort of peeped back and they were like, oh, and they kept going. But then the two people with the bike helmets on, they took their helmets off. And I was like, oh, it's so-and-so and so-and-so, which were two kids that used to live in the village we used to live in.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, they're following you. And then these two kids, they turned around and they held up signs that said, do not tell them, or something like that. And then they came up to me and they pretended that they weren't involved. And it was really weird. Like one of them pretended he was lost and he was like, oh, I know you. You can help me get home. And I was just like, what is happening? It was really weird. That's what I mean. Like all of my dreams have been really odd and
Like
all
odd
over
bits
the
and
place.
pieces.
Yeah. Really strange.
Just this is going back a little bit, but under wool it also said see also knitting. So I was looking at knitting, but just underneath that is knob, and in knob it says, since many people still have difficulty in calling private parts by their correct name, a knob appearing in a dream can represent the penis.
Wow.
How dare you call me out
How
like this?
dare you?
With my hoo-hoo and my
My pee-pee.
my dangle dingle. The pee-pee and the hoo-hoo. I don't know what you mean. I'm not afraid of saying banana. I don't use different words for vagine and penis because I'm afraid to say the words. I just find them funny.
Yeah.
I think it's fun to say minge.
It is.
You can
it's
put
funny.
that on a t-shirt.
Too much.
Comfort so much.
It's fun to say minge. I just enjoy it when people say vahoo. I just find that
Yeah.
I just find that enjoyable.
It's just a bit of a boring word, isn't it? Vagina. Like,
Yeah.
where's the fun in that?
Where is it? Where is the fun? Pernus and vahoo is much better.
I feel like vagines do get a much better array of words. I feel like I can't even think of a fun word to use now, but it's all quite serious words, isn't it? Like pecker.
Oh, what for a penis?
For a penus.
Penus.
Yeah. They don't really get any like fun.
Well, to think back to Austin Powers.
don't know if
with
I've
the
seen
scene.
Austin
Have you never
Powers.
seen it? There's a scene with where Dr. Evil fires a rocket ship, and it looks like a giant
and
penis.
they keep on like cutting to different people saying like, it looks like he's Godward, like that
Yes,
sort of stuff.
exactly.
Yeah, I've seen that scene. Okay, maybe it's my fault. Maybe I need to brush up on my phallic terms.
Exactly. You need to broaden your
I've
horizons.
just not put the work in. I've been spending too long on clunge to really give it the attention it deserves. The failing on my part. I see this now.
Well, I'm glad you're learning. Character development.
Yeah, I'm growing as a person.
And a penis.
My vocabulary.
Vocabulary.
Why is a word about words so hard to say? It's like brewery. Like you sound like you're drunk when you try and say brewery.
A brewery.
I couldn't order a piss up in a brewery because I can barely say the word. It's not my fault. Brewery.
Yeah, the way to the brewery.
So, speaking of my wonderful vocabulary, would you like to listen to a dream?
Yeah. Let's do it.
Perfect segue there.
Perfect segue.
Vocabulary.
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 It's like I had to train myself to say familiar, because for years I'd say familiar.
Familiar.
And I had to sit there and go familiar. Familiar.
When I was a kid, I struggled differentiating lion and line. I would just say lion or line.
I get that with ferry, and ferry. Like people, if I say I took the ferry, people would be like, "You took the ferry? The ferry?
Ferry?
The ferry? You took a ferry? I took a ferry on the ferry.
You took a ferry? On a ferry?
Ferry. Ferry.
I took a ferry on the ferry.
Shall we listen to Whatever Dream I Had on the 6th of July?
Let's do it.
Okay. Hopefully this isn't the Lydia one.
Hopefully. All right.
3, 2, 1, go. I had this dream that had like 3 parts to it, but 2 of them were really horrible, so I won't make you listen to those bits. But there was a 3rd bit where I was going on a holiday to this flat in a city with Alex's family, and we were on our way there, and all of the buildings, like the tallest buildings, had been painted to look like comic books. It was really cool. But then the driver was like, "Oh my gosh, I wouldn't want their job." And I was like, "What?" And I looked across, and one of the tallest buildings was like on fire. And the like fire engine was going towards it. And I was like, "Oh, geez, I hope everyone's safe," sort of thing. And we got to the flat, and there was something where someone in Alex's family was like acting as if there was someone lying on this like sunbed thing, but they were invisible, and they started piling furniture over them in a sort of real like I've got them type way. And I was like, okay, I don't know what's happening there. So I went to my bedroom where I was going to be staying, and I had this really cute, adorable little like shop, but it was clearly like a children's room, and they'd made a shop of like their drawings and stuff. But some of the things were really cute. There were all these little like plasticine models. There was one painting where they'd done like Peter Rabbit, but then they'd just drawn a smiley face. And I was like, I really want this. And then Alex's parents came in with everyone else, and they were like, right, pay attention. I was like, oh, sorry. And his mum started telling me like, she clearly had something to give me. And she was like, "You've been in this family for 2 years now." And I was thinking, oh no, it's a lot longer. But then she was just like, just talking nonsense. And I was like, what? And then his dad tried to take over, and it was the same. And I was like, are you guys drunk? And I looked at the floor, and there were like 3 empty bottles of wine. And I was like, what are you trying to say? What are you trying to say? And then I was trying to ask them about someone having blocked up the bathroom with furniture, because when they'd been blocking the sunbed, they'd been blocking it. And Alistair was there, and he was like, oh, it's people bullying me because I need a listening horn. And it turned out that inside the room was just this little box that had a listening horn on it, like one of those little ear trumpets. He was like, I need it for my meeting, but I don't like people to know. But other than that, I think that's pretty much it. I think that's all I remember. Yep. The end. Bye-bye. Did I tell you part of that dream last week?
I vaguely... You haven't... I mean, I don't remember all of it, but I vaguely remember the comic book city.
Yeah.
I feel like I've heard that.
I have a feeling I did tell you, and now I've just, well, we've maybe last week, this was just a next week on Comfort Zone.
Maybe.
Hear more details about this dream. But yeah, that was it. Alex's drunk parents and the comic book city.
Since they went to a brewery.
A brewery.
Well,
I guess they went to a vineyard, a vineyard. It was wine bottles. But yeah, it was just odd. Like, I do remember the first two parts of the dream. I think I told you about those. There was a horrible one with Julieta and then a horrible one with Jerry. But this was
you did tell me about those.
The third part. And it was actually quite fun. I mean, obviously, there was a building that was on fire. Bit worrying. But it was being dealt with.
That was just
so
in the background.
Fine.
They had that under control.
Yeah.
It's fine.
But this is like the second time that I've had a dream about going to like a big fancy flat.
Oh, really?
I don't know why. Because I went to G's flat in London in a dream to watch the wrestling. And then I'm going on holiday here to a big fancy flat. Like, what is it about big fancy flats? What are they?
Maybe it's because people we know have moved recently.
Or maybe I'm thinking about the big fancy flat I want you to move to.
Oh,
Bristol.
maybe.
It's me in my dream going around looking at places, trying
Just
to find
shopping
somewhere
around.
for you to move to. But not London and not whatever comic book city this is.
If I won the lottery, which is unlikely because I don't play the lottery, then I would move to Bristol in a flash.
Yeah. But yeah, it was odd. Another one of those sort of bits and pieces dreams.
Yeah, it seems it, especially because it was paired with the dreams about Jerry and Julieta.
Yeah.
It's just sort of a bit of everything, isn't it?
I love that during the Julieta dream, Fionn was in it, but she literally just ran into the room and peed on the carpet and then ran out. And that was it. And I was like, oh, okay, thanks.
Thank you for your help.
Oh, Fifi.
Were you worrying about anything to do with Alex's parents at the time? Because it sounds like the other two parts of the dream were like stressy. They were stressing about the aminals. So
yeah.
Could it have anything to do with Alex? Or
it's been like just over a year now since we went on holiday with Alex's parents, and that just means that like on like the Google Pictures or whatever, it's showing up with like, here's a photo you took 1 year ago, and it's all the holiday ones. So they've been on my mind, but for like nice reasons.
Yeah. Maybe that's why they were getting drunk.
Yeah. It was like a bit of, they were like the comic relief to the serious dreams.
So you've had these horrible dreams about your animals getting hurt. Here's a nice one about your in-laws getting drunk.
Yeah, they've made you an award for 2 years in the family, which is like sort of
How long have you been
5
married?
years. Well, we've been married 7 years now, so it's 5 years too late. But it's the thought that counts.
They tried.
Yeah. I'm like curious to know what the Alistair and his hearing horn, like what could, because I guess
I forgot
a
about
hearing
that.
horn, I can imagine could be like very representative or very like symbolic of like not feeling listened to or not feeling like I'm listening to someone or something like that. But I'm just trying to, like, I can't think what it would be. I guess
And the
if
fact
you
that it's linked to
can't find
Alistair
it.
as well.
Yeah.
Alistair's not listening to you. Get it together, Alistair.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
Why are you not listening to this podcast right now?
Yeah.
I mean, if he is now, then this is ineffective.
Awkward.
But yeah, it's just very strange. Like, it just feels like, do you ever just hone in on something in a dream because you're like, that must be symbolic? But maybe it is just a random thing, but maybe it is
Yeah,
like,
I wonder what made you start dreaming about a hearing horn. Like, that's so bizarre.
piling up the furniture as well. Like, that feels like building up a
barrier.
barricade. Which, to be fair, okay, that I might have an answer to because
Oh.
recently, I have been feeling a little bit like, you know, when you start streaming,
Yeah.
and you're not really thinking about like, oh, one day I might, you know, carry this on, or people might still watch me in a year's time or something. You're just doing it because it's fun, and why the heck not? And I'm sort of a very like heart on my sleeve person, and if I am sad, I'll talk about being sad. If I'm very bad at like keeping stuff that's on my mind when I'm talking.
Yeah,
And,
I'm the same.
So I think recently I've been looking back at the fact that I've been streaming for what, like 4 years now or something it must be. And I think I'm starting to piece together like, oh my gosh, people are actually starting to know quite a lot about me, because what started as just like one little story here and one little story here has now built up into this back catalogue of like who I am and how I feel and how I react and all of this stuff. And I think I've just had this feeling recently of like, oh my gosh, maybe should I have been more careful? Should I have like tried to like have not like a streaming personality, because that would just be too much effort and I can't do that sort of stuff. But I don't know, like I think I felt a little exposed maybe, and maybe that was my dream, me trying to put the barricade up and being like, let's just stack the furniture up on the invisible person. You can't see chat.
Yeah.
They're invisible people. And I'm piling furniture on them. I've solved it.
She's hiding from chat.
I'm hiding from chat because I feel exposed.
That makes sense. That does make sense. I never even really thought of that. Like, I do the same. I just start talking. I reel off stuff that's been happening. I'm like, yep, I've been feeling about this lately, blah, blah, blah. And if you think back, God, people know a lot about me now.
Yeah. And it's like when you sort of like, if you like accidentally, like doxing by 1,000 cuts sort of thing. Like if one day you say like, oh yeah, I'm near a post office, don't think anything of it. There's loads of post offices around here. And then maybe 3 months later you say like, oh yeah, I went to the park by our house the other day. All of a sudden they've got 2 things that they can try and triangulate.
Yeah,
and then
it's difficult. It's difficult. Like, because the likelihood is, I mean, you never know who's watching, but you know, you like to think that people that are watching, they wouldn't be that mental. But you never know who is. So it's like, well, what if there is someone sneaking around in the shadows, you know, trying to triangulate a park and a post office?
And they're using wool to do it, and we have to hide the wool from them.
Oh my God.
Our dreams have connected.
It's like one time I said to my chat, I was like, oh, I went to the corner shop nearby and I got a frozen Fanta. And they were like, Lamau doxed. And I was like, what? I was like, are you going to go and like find out every corner shop that sells frozen Fanta in a 100-mile radius? Good luck. It's like, if you find out where I live, you deserve it.
Yeah, you've put the work in now. Good for you. But there's also like, I had someone once be like, oh, I think you've like accidentally doxed yourself. And I was like, how? And they were like, you told this story about this log in this wood. And I know that log that you're talking about. And I was like, it's a log in a wood.
Oh, no.
I don't think you do know which log I'm talking about. But they live with me now. Turns out they're very good at this.
Oh dear.
That's how I met Alex. But yeah, it's like, it is just one of those things that you don't think. And in a way, this just turned into my paranoia rant. Yeah. It's not all the lovely people in chat who will say this stuff. It's probably someone who's not saying things. I think that's the scary thing.
It's the invisible person.
The invisible person.
Yeah, and that is something you have to deal with as a streamer. Like, the people
invisible
who talk a lot, generally, they're lovely people. And it's just like, I mean, not saying that lurkers are bad, but I'm just saying that
sometimes when chat are being naughty, lurkers are my favourites.
Yeah, lurkers are the best. But But
You
it's
naughty
like,
little
yeah, if there
people.
is someone, it's just hard because, like, as content creators, we have experienced. I mean, even if we haven't experienced it ourselves, we are friends with people who have experienced these things where
Yeah.
there is someone unsavory in the community who perhaps is crossing the boundaries. So it's something you're always thinking about.
Yeah.
And it's something you have to keep an eye out for, sadly. Especially as a woman, I think.
Speaking as a woman.
Mm.
Woman. I think, like, yeah, I've been very lucky with my community is very lovely. Obviously, over the years, you've had like the odd person who has had to be sent away, and it's always very horrible. And I don't like when it happens. But overall, I feel very blessed. They're all very lovely.
Yeah,
and
me
just
too.
a bunch of good eggs. But yeah, like you say, when you know people who have had horrible interactions either in person or in DMs or wherever, then it does just make you have that. It's always like there, isn't it? It's always a like
In the back of your mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just in case.
Mm-hmm. You have always
But,
got to be careful because at the end of the day, it's your safety, you know.
Yeah. Well, it's one of those things, that,
and
like,
it's the safety of other people too, like in your community. So it's always something. Always something.
I was
to be
gonna
thinking
say,
about.
like, it's also just for me, it's the safety of the bunnies. If someone found out where I lived, I would be like, okay, like, what are you gonna do? But if someone found out where I lived and therefore where the bunnies live, I'm there like on the porch with a shotgun, just like, you better not try anything. You stay back, you get off my land.
You stay away from my buns.
You ain't touching my buns. There's another t-shirt for the merch.
Oh
yeah.
my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. We
That
cover
was my dream.
Oh, that's a dream. We cover so many subjects in this podcast.
Yeah.
After last week, I had so many lovely messages like about ADHD and getting a diagnosis and stuff.
Yeah.
I had a few people that were like, "Oh, you know, that really clicked with me. I'm gonna seek a diagnosis now." Blah blah blah, and it's so nice. So I hope everyone who listened and was helped a bit by last week's episode gets what they are looking for if they are looking for a diagnosis and stuff. Good luck
And
to you.
also, like, if ever you're thinking, like, oh, I don't want to take up time in the system, because I think people think that not just for ADHD, but also for things like therapy. Don't listen to that voice. You deserve to thrive and live your best life. Like,
exactly.
You go get those things. When there's services that are available, use them.
Take them.
Yeah. I did that for years with therapy. I was like, oh, no. I'll put it up. Like, I don't want to take up. Someone probably needs it more than I do. I don't want to do this. Whereas, like, no, that's not a healthy way to be. You need to, what's the thing? Like, charity begins at home or whatever. Like, if you're going to take care of others, you have to take care of yourself first. So go do that.
Yes.
Please.
Please.
Please. And if you need a hearing test, go have one of those as well, you know?
You need a hearing test. Alistair's got a great horn that you can borrow.
Well, speaking of words for things. We've unlocked a new one now. Oh dear.
Oh no.
Do they even have like hearing horns anymore? Is that still a thing?
I don't think so.
That's very old school, isn't it? Like people, it's the typical thing in like black and white films of the guy being like, "What? What did you say?"
Hang on, let me Google it. Hearing horn.
Can you still get a horn?
I think most of the time now you have hearing aids for that.
Yeah.
Ear trumpets.
Probably more practical. That's what they're called. They're not called horns at all.
They're called ear trumpets. Okay. So
when you want to ear trumpets.
There's one ear trumpet on Amazon, but it's a decorative one.
Is that like the new version of hipsters having glasses that just have clear glass in them? They've now got decorative ear trumpets. New level of hipster has been unlocked now. Get on my level.
They've got their tweed suit and their ear trumpet. Oh my god. Yeah, ear trumpets were just like early hearing aids, I guess.
Yeah, I guess it makes sense. It's just like amplification of the sound.
Yeah.
I guess in the same way as a gramophone, but going out the other way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Huh.
Beethoven used an ear trumpet.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's interesting. You would have thought like someone who wrote music would have had like
Quite good hearing.
yeah.
I think Beethoven went deaf, like fully deaf, and kept writing.
But there's also that is it a lady who plays the cello and she's completely deaf and she just uses like she always when she's on stage always has like bare feet so she can feel the vibrations and keep in time with everyone else.
Oh.
I can't remember her name though.
I think, I mean, it's probably not the same person, but Aurora often goes bare feet on stage, I think. Maybe for this. Aurora. Aurora is very good. Their music's very nice.
Ah.
Beethoven began to lose his hearing at age 28, and by 44, his hearing loss was complete.
Blimey. Aww. I wonder if it was, do they know why? Or was it just because it was the equivalent of like listening to heavy metal back in those days? He was just there with his head right up against the orchestra.
His was because of a disease.
Oh.
Paget's disease of the bone compressed one of his cranial nerves. There we go. You learn something new every day.
Yeah. Beethoven's compressed bone. Name for a band. No one wants to use it. Did you? Or another name. We're gonna have a whole bingo by the end of this.
Beethoven's compressed bone. That's a nice long description for it.
How about you come back to my place and we take a look at Beethoven's compressed bone? That reminds me, I was thinking about the other day, my favorite like euphemism for this is really immature, I apologize, but my favorite euphemism for going for a poo is gonna drop the kids off at the pool. I don't know why I find it so funny. But I think it like every time I'm popping to the loo, I'm just like just dropping the kids off at the pool. I'm very sorry. Please write in with your favorite
poo euphemisms. Poofemism.
Poofemisms. Oh my gosh. There's our new podcast.
Poofemisms. Yay. Comfort zone is over. Poofemisms has begun.
Could be like a new section. We can have a jingle for it. It's time for Poofemisms. Yeah.
This week we're dropping the kids off at the pool. Tune in next week for more Poofemisms.
Da 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 da. Do you want to listen to the other dream? I think it's something about being stood. For those who don't know, or why would you know? I'm stood at Lewis's desk, and this is the first episode that you do know. He's with me too. It's a standing desk, and there's no chair in the room. Otherwise, I would have moved it down. And this is, I think I'm weirder when I'm stood up for some reason. I don't know why. That's my excuse.
I really want a standing desk, so I can be weird all the time.
I fidget too much when I'm stood up. Like I'm looking at Audacity, and there are so many little bibbles of me shuffling around. I'm just like, oh no, how many of those bibblers are going to get picked up, or the waveform bibbles? So apologies if there's just a constant ASMR of shuffling feet and adjustments.
Well, I've been doing my makeup because we've got to jump straight into stream more or less after the recording. So sorry if you hear makeup noises too.
This is actually this is like one of those things what people do on TikTok where it's like, get ready with me and let's talk about dreams.
Oh.
and Pooh. Dreams of Pooh.
Boo!
I'd look up Pooh in the book. What do you reckon it would say? Have we talked about have we ever talked about Pooh before? I don't think we have.
We must have.
Plunge pool. Oh, it's probably gonna be under like
It'd be like feces.
or excretion or something, won't it? It's gonna bodily.
Bodily.
Then I mean I don't think the next dream excrement. There you go. When we dream of feces or excrement, we are returning to an infant level of expression and joy.
Joy?
Experiences we have had experiences we have had may have been relevant at the time, but now we need to let them go.
Like a poo.
Like a poo. There
Cut
you
them
go.
off.
Or there are certain aspects of our lives which we have used up and need to expel. Or, third explanation for poo dreams is the power of the person is said to be contained in his excrement.
What?
All my power is in my poo. Is that what you're telling me about?
Huh?
Like, what?
So I'm dropping all my power in the toilet, is what you're saying?
Store up that power. Don't let it go.
Hold
What
it
does that
in.
even mean? Why would your power be in your poop? I can't get my head around the logic of that.
Do you think Superman poops?
Pooperman. Oh, I'm so sorry. When Rythian listens to this, he's just going to be so ashamed. I can feel it.
See, now we know that Rythian listens. This is
through.
all we think about every week. It's like, oh no, Rythian's going to listen to this.
It's like knowing that, like, my mum sometimes watches my streams and occasionally she'll, like, send me a message being like, so are you talking about this today? And I'm like, oh, geez, what else did I talk about on that stream? What did I say?
Oh my
What
god.
is that? Oh.
See, my mum tunes into my streams, but half the time it's like, she'll pop in chat, go, hello, and then I forget she's there, and then suddenly I'm talking about tits and ass, and it's oh.
Oh. Sorry, Rythian.
Sorry, Rythian.
Listen to the second dream and see if we can redeem ourselves whatsoever from this.
All right, let's do it.
Okay. 3, 2, 1, go. I had this dream that I was streaming with Lydia and we were playing this like little Animal Village style game and I was trying to put down this house and I accidentally put like the item that places the house down the wrong way. So we knew, I think it was like a spoon that you put in the ground, but I'd put it the wrong way, so I knew that the front door was going to be facing like the back fence in this little cul-de-sac. I was like, oh no. And then I was looking at the house that was next to it, and it had an elephant in, and there was another house that I think was for like a hamster, and I was like, how come they have the same size house? Wouldn't the elephant need a bigger house? But then Lydia was like, okay, we have to get ready. And it turned out that we were planning a Kate Bush party, and I don't know what it entailed, but all of a sudden everything had that sort of like hazy quality that early music films shot on music videos shot on film look like, and we were like both dressed up as Kate Bush from different videos, and there were like candles everywhere and stuff, and yeah, we were just like getting ready for the Kate Bush party, whatever that is. But yeah, the end. Bye bye. Oh my gosh.
Bye-bye.
Not only have I already told you about this dream before the podcast, I told you about it on the podcast and now made you listen to it for
You did. That is literally the third time that I've had to listen to the Kate Bush party. And if I don't get a Kate Bush party now, I'm going to kick off. I'm going to be so upset.
Oh no, okay. Hang on, just ordering what I'm going to have to go back and watch all of Kate Bush's music videos and see what the vital
We'll have to go into a
elements will be.
forest with a red dress.
Keep running up a hill.
Yeah, run up a ton of hills.
We need to do the like the Kate Bush dance, like the Heathcliff dance where she does like the pushing, but she can get her leg really high in the air. I can't do that.
Not
I mean,
with
I
that
can
attitude.
but if I'd I was strapped to a table and then it got tilted up. I could get my leg that high. Have you ever seen the Noel Fielding Kate Bush video?
No, that's not one that he did with Keith from Pottery Throwdown, is it?
Oh, was Keith there?
Because Noel Fielding. Oh no, they did. Nothing Compares to You. They didn't do Kate Bush.
Oh yeah,
yeah, they did that together. That was very good.
It was one for, I think, Children in Need, and he basically like mimed and danced along to it. It was a bit like that. I guess like the Tom Holland Singing in the Rain. I can't remember the name of that show, but it was like that sort of thing, but for children in need, I think.
Yeah.
And,
no, I've never seen that.
Very good.
I've never seen that. I have to look it up.
I recommend.
Kate Bush is great.
It really is.
Bloody love Kate Bush.
Yes, apparently so do I. Quite obsessively, more so than I realised.
Did you say that Rythian was at the start of that dream as well?
Oh.
Was it just Lydia or?
I think it was just Lydia.
Okay, I wasn't sure if it had Rythian or Lydia.
Oh, no, it was Lydia.
It was just Lydia. Okay.
Yeah. It was very lovely. I don't really get to hang out or talk to Lydia as much as I would like to, ever since the restraining order. And maybe that's what this dream was about.
I think it's just because you kept messaging her about her cats. Could you go away so I could hang out with your cats, Lydia?
Let me look after your cat. But yeah, I don't really know. Like, I can't really think that I've thought about Kate Bush recently. I mean, I have now, apparently. But before the dream, I don't know where this came from. Other than it just... Maybe this is just one of those things. It's like back in the olden days of dreams where it was like, it's some sort of like minor deity that's just telling me to do this. Or maybe it's like Dionysus just wants me to have a party. He's just like, you have this Kate Bush party.
Listen to Kate Bush.
Let's do it.
Right now.
Right now. You're all invited to the Radio Kate Bush party.
Woohoo! But you have to provide your own music.
Yeah.
BYOM.
Otherwise we get DMCA'd.
Yeah.
I'm going to be doing karaoke in a few weeks. Maybe I'll do a Kate Bush song. Yeah.
Ooh, which one would you do?
I think it has to be Heathcliff. I think that's like...
Wuthering Heights is a hard one because there's a lot of like high pitch, like, it's me!
Yeah.
It's very... But I mean, to be fair, a lot of Kate Bush is like that, so...
Oh,
that's what makes it fun. That's what makes it good for karaoke.
I think I know what the connection is here.
Oh?
It's because Lydia went to see Placebo,
right?
And Placebo do my favourite cover of Running
Up That Hill. Aha! There we go.
Therefore, Kate Bush. So I think when I saw the photo of Lydia getting to meet the guy from Placebo, not Brian Molko, I can't remember the name of the other guy, I'm very sorry. If he's listening, avid listener.
Oh, yeah.
What's his chops from Placebo? And I think that inspired me to listen to that song, and then I guess that must be it.
You had actually been listening to the song as well? Well, there we go.
I think I did put it on, like, just what, you know me, I put songs on whilst I cook. I think that was one of them. But yeah,
there we go.
That must be it.
That solves the mystery.
Yeah, but I'm still going to have the party.
Good. Better.
Yeah.
I've been promised a party and I want it.
Aww. It just makes banger after banger. Well, I say that. I can name 3 songs. Maybe the rest are terrible. But she made 3 bangers, and that's more than I've made. So
exactly.
Good for you, Kate Bush.
Kate Bush is a legend.
Yeah. She's not real. She's a thing of
she's
myth.
Literally legendary.
Have you ever seen Kate Bush?
No.
Didn't think so.
She's very elusive.
Yeah.
She's a mythical being.
She's out on the windy something moors or whatever. I don't know the words.
The winding, windy moors.
Windy, windy moors. I've sung that song so many times, either on Twitch Sings or karaoke or just in the comfort of my own home, and I still don't really know the words.
Oh, I know them all off by heart. Did you ever read Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte?
No. I'm a bit of like a baby.
Baby.
I like Jane Austen books because nothing bad ever really happens.
Yeah.
Whereas with like the Bronte sisters, everything just seems to be
Yeah, it's a bit dire.
awful
It's
all the
very,
time.
very dire.
'Cause I watched
Sorry, you
Jane
go.
Eyre. Was that a Bronte one?
That might have been.
Was that Dickinson?
Which Brontes were there? Was Emily, Charlotte, and Anne? Anne was it? Maybe.
Maybe.
Maybe that was Charlotte. Question mark.
Yeah.
I think
They're all
Emily
just-
only wrote Wuthering Heights.
Bloomin' miserable.
Yeah.
But
No,
maybe I
literally,
should give it a go.
Huh?
I'll give it a go, though. I'll stop being baby.
Well, I
One
am
day.
about to complain about it. So.
Oh, okay.
But we had to we had to read it for I think it was A level, and
Oh.
oh my god, it was terrible. I mean, the
That'll
book was
make you hate
fine,
a book.
but it was dire. But
Yeah.
the way it's written, it's sort of split in two halves, so it could have been two books, really. Like, so you have like Heathcliff and Kathy and stuff in the first half, and the second half is like a few years later, their children, sort of thing.
Oh.
Or not their children, but the children of characters.
Yeah.
And I personally, even though I had to do an exam on it, I read the first half and I was like, I'm done. I'm not reading the second half. So I went to
Yeah.
Spark Notes and I read
Oh my gosh.
a summary of each chapter and I went and did an exam on it.
Did you do well?
Yeah, I did all right.
Nice.
I think the only books that I actually finished in English at school were, I want to say Frankenstein, I think I finished.
Yeah.
Enduring Love by Ian McEwan. Oh my God, that book is awful. Bloody awful.
More like enduring this book, am I right?
Yeah, exactly. Oh my God, that book. Jeez. If Wuthering Heights is dire, I don't know what to call Enduring Love because bloody hell.
Yeah.
What else did I finish? And Inspector Calls, but that didn't really count because that was a play.
I swear there's nothing that will like make you hate a book quicker
than
than
studying it.
Yeah, or like
Yeah.
just being told you have to read it.
Yeah.
I don't know if this again is like an ADHD thing, but if someone like I started doing English A level, and for the English A level, the first book we had to read was Black Beauty, and because
Oh
I was
my
told
God.
to read a book, I couldn't do it and I dropped out. Say next year I did the same again. I dropped out of English A level twice because I was like, I'm not reading books you tell me to
Literally,
read.
this
And I
is
was like,
the
why
same
did I sign
issue,
up to this?
right? This is the issue I have with people sending me links. It is exactly the same. People send it to me. They're like, look at this link. I'm like, no, I don't want to. And if
I
people
don't
hand
think I
me a
will.
book and they're like, read this book, I'm like, no, I refuse.
Yeah. I'm better with books now because I guess it's not like a mandatory thing. If like a
Yeah.
friend suggests a book or something, I'm like, oh, thank you for the recommendation. But it's like, you have to read this. I'm like, no, I don't.
No, I don't.
I will just fail. But did you think of that?
I have started reading a book. I have started reading Eye of the World, the first book in the Wheel of Time series.
Oh.
Because I was streaming the other day, right? And I was trying to read out dialogue and I realized how rusty I have gotten with reading. I haven't read a
Yeah.
book properly in years, like years and years and years. And I used to read so much. And now it's just like, I feel like I've just completely untrained myself. Like, if I'm
Yeah.
trying to read dialogue, like again, maybe ADHD, I don't know, but my eyes will dart, they'll dart ahead, and then I'll stumble over my words. When I was reading, I've read the first chapter in Eye of the World, and I there was a page where I must have read the same paragraph at least 5 times, and I was just like, just keep going,
Yeah.
keep trying.
I think a lot of the time there's something to be said for. I find like it can take me a while to get into a book, but once I'm in, it's better. And
Yeah.
I think sometimes in those first few, like the chapter or first few pages, I just have to be like, I'm going to plow on regardless. I might, as long as I'm taking in the vague meaning of the page, I'm not going to worry about the details. So I'm just going to blah, 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 blah. And then once I'm into it, it's okay.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I'm hoping for. I've also told Rythian that I'm reading it, so I'm using Rythian as like my incentive to read it, because I'll be like, right, I've read this chapter now, and this happened, and this is what I think. Whereas if I had no one to report to, I'd just be like, no one will know if I stopped.
Well, what if, because I've been meaning to like try those books, because I have heard good things. We could read along together, have our mini book club.
Yeah.
Although I do find it quite daunting, the fact that it's like one of 50 million, I do believe.
I think Rythian said there are 14 books in the series.
Oh my gosh.
He also said to me, the first one's okay.
That's what's put me off of Wheel of Time. Is like by the fifth book, it's really good. I'm like, what?
I'm like, that's a lot of words. Honestly, so far, I mean, I'm one chapter in and a prologue, like not a lot. But it feels like, have you ever read Eragon? Like, have you read The Inheritance Cycle?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, this analogy doesn't really help them, but it feels like the beginning of it, at least. I feel like it's going to be a lot more in depth than Eragon, but the beginning is quite similar. I think it's like a young sort of guy and his dad / father figure. They live a little bit secluded from the nearby village. Blah blah blah, and that's exactly what happens at the beginning of Eragon. Except he goes and finds a dragon egg. I don't know what happens in this, but. He probably goes and finds the Wheel of Time.
Imagine if that was just the end of the book, and there it was.
The
Wheel of Time. Bum, bum, bum. Closing credits. You just have to read page after page of... Actually, you do sort of get the thank you at the end of books. So I guess that is sort of the credits.
Thank you for reading.
I've been reading more books recently in the last few years than I... had for a very long time, because I had that same thing of like, I was just powering through with Brandon Sanderson's Oathbringer, and I was not enjoying it, but I didn't want to start another book until I had finished it. But then I started a book club, and that just inspired me to just keep on reading books. And it's like you say, like, if you have other people that are reading it, and you can, like, people will know if you finished it or not. That does... Like, I know this sort of goes against the whole, like, reading books I've been told to read thing, but I think because it's a different environment and it's fun, I've read a lot of books that I've really liked in the last few years, which has been good.
Definitely.
I had one year, years ago, where every book I read was, like, one of my favourite books I've ever read. And it was such a good year of, like, I read... all of his Dark Materials, amazing. I read One Day, amazing. Lovely Bones, amazing. Time Traveler's Wife, doesn't get the credit it deserves, amazing. I was just like, every book I was like, this is the best book ever. So if ever people are like, do you have any recommendations for what to read? I'm always like, this is my year's reading from this year. Any of it.
Any of these.
Also, I don't want to overhype them, so all the books I just said, they're okay. Give them a go. They're okay, I guess.
I found that book club didn't work for me because it felt similar to studying, where it was like, read this book by this deadline, and I was like,
yeah, that's fair.
No, I don't want to.
Don't think I will.
I don't think I will. And Rythian, bless him, he was like, in like a year's time, when you've read all 14, you can tell me what you think. And I was like, a year? That's very, very optimistic.
I would like to get into a big series, because I've purposely been avoiding series for many a year now. Like, I read this book called Priory of the Orange Tree, literally because it is a chunky fantasy that is a standalone book, and that was so appealing to me. I was like, because I've read things like Name of the Wind, which has a second book, but then it also has a third book that's been in writing, right? For like, no, it's literally just those two, and the guy's been writing the third one for like 9 years. And every year he's like, yeah, I'll probably release it this year. And I'm like, no, you're not going to. So I'm not going to read your second book until you've written your third one. That's like
Game of Thrones. I really want to read Game of Thrones. I want to read the series. I want to read it all, but it's not going to get finished. So what's the point?
Yeah, it's like a fine balance between enjoying something and it, like, especially when, like, some books can feel so filler. Like, you can tell it's just an in-between book and you're like, I want a complete story. I don't want it to be like just, and it's like, there's one I read recently. Oh, can I think what it was? But it just ended in such a way that was like, it was basically like this massive, oh, no, I'm thinking of a film.
Oh,
I'm thinking of a book that I saw on a screen.
Right,
and it ended.
Easy mistake. Easy mistake.
Yeah. I just remembered the feeling of it. But again, like, some films can feel very filler when it's just like.
Yeah. I think like Marvel and stuff have that issue.
Yeah.
It's just like, let's just make a movie for the sake of it.
And I'm like, no, I want to be satisfied. Because especially when it's like, oh, leave you wanting more. And it's like, well, that's fine if it's TV and there's another episode in a week. But when you're going to take like 2 years to make the next one, like why? Just finish your film. Stop.
Yeah, literally. But yeah, I'm excited to like start reading again. I've kind of missed it. It was like a while ago, I would just read when I was on holiday. And I would read Lord of the Rings every time because I would just read a chunk of it, get back from holiday, not touch it until the next holiday, and then continue. So it took me years to read Lord of the Rings. But it was really nice. You know,
Lord of the Rings experience. Because it goes over a few years, so maybe that's the way to do it.
I was just doing it in real time. But like, yeah, I really envy people that can just sit down and read a book. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to try. So
if anyone is looking for a very easy to read book that is like just a nice story to ease into reading, I recommend House on the Cerulean Sea because it's like, it's a short book. It's easy to read, lovely story. And it's just a good, like, there's no like, no big words. Sometimes when I'm reading books and I just feel like the language is too languagey sort of thing. And I'm just like constantly trying to look up words to understand it. Whereas that is just like a good easing back into reading book I found. So that's my book recommendation for this book podcast that we do.
Oh, there
here.
we go. Book and Poo podcast.
The old Book and Poo. It's a new section for the podcast as well. We've got Poofamisms, we've got book recommendations. Sometimes we talk about the same dream 3 times. I'm very sorry. I will have fresh dreams next week, not my slightly curdled dreams. Gonna have to call everyone you know. We're gonna have to get a guest for next week.
Oh no. Oh my gosh. Just get Rydian back on.
Yeah, it's time. This is the end of Series 2. Time for Series 3 next week with guest star Rydian.
Woo!
Well, thank you for a very lovely chat, as always, Kirsty.
Thank you, Bryony.
And thank you, everyone, for listening. I'm sorry that I was stood up and weird this week. I'll sit down next week.
I'm sat down and weird. It's okay. Yeah, thank you, everyone. And we will see you next week.
Bye-bye for now.
Bye-bye.